We asked a bunch of people in Atlanta about their political views to find out if more people were conservative or liberal. Check this out. Do you think most people in Atlanta are conservative or liberal or something else?
In Atlanta, in the city,
Yeah.
liberal.
Do you lean more towards the liberal side or the conservative side?
I lean more towards the liberal side, yes. I think a lot of people are in the middle.
I would say a little more liberal than Florida.
You know, everybody's got different tendencies. Vote for the person, don't vote for the party, and do the right thing.
Probably more conservative. It's a little mixed. I'm still kind of getting used to the politics of that particular town.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first idea I had of it, I thought it was more on the conservative side for sure.
Definitely conservative, but I think with a lot of younger people moving here, it's going a little to the left, just slightly.
I'm not too sure. I don't really get into politics. From what I've seen, everyone's just very friendly and diverse, you know. So we've been very welcoming, very awesome.
We asked people all kinds of controversial questions to find out where most people stood politically, and some of the answers that we got were absolutely fascinating. If you're thinking about moving to Atlanta or you just have any questions about what it's like to live here, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. I'm the one who answers those phone calls and those texts and those emails. I'm happy to help with your moving needs to Atlanta. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. But we made this video because we wanted you to understand what the political climate looks like here in Metro Atlanta. I know for many people who are considering moving here, what the politics of the area are like is a big factor for whether or not you want to move to Metro Atlanta or what part of the city you want to move to. So we asked about all kinds of things like climate change and Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And we even point blank asked some people if they were Republican or Democrat. Are you Republican or Democrat?
Really, I voted Democratic, but I'm really like open. Like there's flaws in both like Democrats and Republicans, so I'm in between.
And would you say you are Republican or Democrat?
Neither.
Republican. Democrat.
I'm just in the middle. Don't really have a side.
I probably lean more towards Republican, but more of an independent.
I think to really understand the political climate here in Metro Atlanta, you have to understand a bit of the history of the politics in Atlanta. And I certainly am not someone who understands politics very well. I don't claim to like know politics. You know, like if you put comments down in the comment section about how I don't know anything about politics, totally fair. I don't claim to understand anything about politics. But one of the main things that the Civil War was fought over, including slavery, was whether or not the federal government was going to have control in the states or whether it was just going to be state government. And so that kind of government control factor is certainly something that I still think lingers here in not just Georgia, but in the South in general. Many people here come from a place of like not wanting a lot of government regulation. They want their government's hands off of their businesses and their lives. And whether or not that's a good thing is a completely different conversation. But I think that's how like the politics are kind of rooted here in Georgia. But as Atlanta has grown and as there have been certain things throughout the last 20 or 30 years that have put Atlanta on the international map, more people from all over the country and all over the world have been moving to Atlanta. And so because of this, we're finally getting to see a much more balanced view of politics here in Metro Atlanta. There's certainly more of a left-leaning influence in Atlanta than there is in the suburbs. The suburbs tend to be a bit more right-leaning. And as someone who lives in the suburbs, I kind of thought that it was like all left in the city and all right in the suburbs. But as we talked to more and more people in these interviews, it was really interesting to see just how much of a balance it is in both the cities and the suburbs. Do you think most people in Marietta lean more towards being conservative or liberal?
You should be very conservative. I think it's probably 50-50 now.
Do you think most people in Kennesaw lean more towards being conservative or liberal?
I see more liberal people personally.
I think it depends on demographic. I think a lot of the younger generation, I think it's more liberal, and I think a lot of the older people talking, like people like my parents' age and stuff like that. I think a lot more of them are conservative, probably.
Marietta is a few different sections, right? You've got kind of the kind of like the rich section, and then you've got the not rich section, and people don't really realize that because when you live around like the square area, you kind of get spoiled. You don't realize what like Marietta, in terms of like the city actually is, and the high school. It's interesting, but I think it's like 80% of the high school students are actually on some type of government assistance for meals and things of that nature. So if that tells you like really what Marietta is, I mean, it's beautiful. I love it. In this area, crazy safe, but there are areas it's like you cross one street and it's like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, dude. A lot of people come here to Marietta, and like you, they've been living here for about 8 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
So many people are from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia originally.
Awesome, man.
And so, yeah.
Do you prefer it here? Do you miss
Oh
Philadelphia?
my God, I love Marietta. I wouldn't live anywhere else. This is like my home. I love it so much.
I got you, man. Do you think most people here in Marietta lean more towards conservative, towards liberal, something else?
I don't know. I'd say it's a mix. A lot of kind of like it's a mix. Like you've got some old like Mariettans and that are definitely more conservative, but it's a very progressive area. It's starting to become a lot more, progressive in terms of a lot of younger people are coming. But, I also know like my mom, she's super liberal, all of her friends in her area, super liberal. It's all the like baby boomers, right? A lot of the baby boomers, that have gravitated towards Marietta, a lot of them are very liberal.
Yeah.
But you also have a conservative aspect to the South in general.
While it is very balanced here in Metro Atlanta, people from other parts of the country might not necessarily see this as being balanced. Middle of the road here in Georgia might not be middle of the road in a different part of the country. Personally, what I see here in Metro Atlanta is that most people tend to not be as interested in politics as the news or social media would have you think that they are. Most people here are just trying to live their everyday lives and try to stay away from all of the politics and the extreme talk that is kind of portrayed in the news. Like the guy who we interviewed who was like, oh, I don't really get into politics. That's a very common stance here in Metro Atlanta. Now, the people who we interviewed, they were willing to have that conversation with us. So those were the people who were more likely to talk about politics. But for the most part, most people who we asked did not want to talk to us about politics. And this is what I would expect from my neighbors here in Marietta and many of the people in Metro Atlanta. Most people don't want to talk about politics. Most people are kind of like tired of hearing about it. They don't want to have to think about it. It's really just something that is not part of their day-to-day lives. In general, everybody who we spoke to, whether they were more right-leaning or more left-leaning, were all very polite, very friendly, and willing to have discussions with us about the different things we were asking. And we asked about all kinds of things, including gay rights and freedom of religion. Word association game. I'll say a word. Tell me what you think.
Ooh, fun.
America.
America, land of the free.
Atlanta.
I know it's supposed to be quicker than that.
That's all good, dude.
Interesting.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, old,
Donald Trump.
mean.
Gay rights.
Moving forward.
Freedom of religion.
Importance.
America. Freedom.
Atlanta.
Atlanta. City.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. The other guy.
Donald Trump.
Keep your mouth closed.
Gay rights.
Everyone has an option.
Freedom of religion.
Absolutely.
Joe Biden.
Old.
Donald Trump.
Sucks.
Gay rights.
Important.
And freedom of religion.
Important also.
Joe Biden.
I like Joe Biden. Joe Biden's all right.
Donald
He's dignity. He's all right.
Donald Trump.
I cannot do one word without
Gay rights,
all four of them.
freedom of religion.
It's a free country.
There are certainly a lot of great things about living here in Metro Atlanta. In general, people are very friendly, not only when it comes to politics, but in just your day-to-day meeting people in public. People tend to be very courteous and very friendly here in Metro Atlanta. But there are some downsides, of course, to living in Metro Atlanta. There's always downsides to living in any part of the country. So whether or not Atlanta is right for you is kind of something that you need to figure out based on what you're seeing here in Atlanta. So we made a video about that very thing. If you want to know if Atlanta is right for you, check out this video. I'll see you there.